Okay, let's unpack this. LG Display, which trades as LPL, just dropped a whole series of massive tech announcements ahead of CES 2026. And we're not just talking about slightly better screens here. This feels like they're trying to fundamentally shift the goalposts for what a premium display even is.
It really does. It's a full spectrum attack on the high-end monitor market, especially for gaming and pro users. If you follow the component suppliers, you know LPL needs to reinforce its position, and well, this is quite a statement.
Absolutely. So our mission today is to cut through all the world-first marketing hype and figure out what this actually means.
Yeah.
How do these new panels position LPL against, say, Samsung Display?
Right. And what does it signal to investors tracking this very volatile panel space?
Exactly. It seems like LPL is pushing on three main fronts.
Yeah.
Raw speed, sheer size, and maybe most importantly, text clarity.
And if you're tracking the supply chain, you really need to get your head around these three product lines they're showing at CES. They aren't just small steps up, they're setting new standards.
Okay, so let's start with the one for the eSports crowd, the pure, unadulterated speed.
Yeah.
The first big one is a 27-inch gaming OLED panel with a world-first refresh rate of 720 hertz.
720 hertz. I mean, that number is just staggering. It's almost theoretical for most GPUs today. But the really big deal is that they pair that with an ultra-fast response time of just 0.02 milliseconds.
Right.
That combination is designed to just completely annihilate motion blur and after images.
But let me push back on that for a second. Is 720 hertz a practical thing, or is it just a spec war? I mean, if the human eye can barely tell the difference past, say, 240 hertz, what's the real-world benefit over a great 360 hertz panel?
That's a great question. And for the average person, you're probably right. But this is about winning at the absolute margins.
Okay.
While your eye might not register a single frame difference, a 720 hertz panel cuts system latency and input lag to an almost non-existent level. For a pro gamer whose career is on the line,
Every millisecond counts.
every fraction of a millisecond counts. So yeah, it's a marketing win for sure, but it's also a technological statement that LPL owns the high ground on speed.
Understood.
Yeah.
Owning the top spec matters. So let's pivot from speed to screen real estate. The second announcement.
The world's first 39-inch 5K 2K gaming OLED.
This sounds like a completely different kind of beast.
It is. It's a curved display, 21.9 aspect ratio, with a 1500R curvature. And for anyone who doesn't know, 5K 2K is basically ultra-wide 4K. It's 5120 by 2160 pixels, so way beyond your standard UHD.
And that 1500R curve, that's pretty aggressive, right?
It is, yeah. It's designed for total immersion. It really fills your field of view, which is great for gaming, obviously, but they're explicitly targeting content creators with this. Video editors, cinematographers.
For the timeline.
Exactly. If you ever used a massive video or audio timeline, that horizontal real estate is life-changing. You're basically getting two big monitors side by side with no bezel in the middle.
And this is a market LPL is basically creating for themselves. They're the only ones making 39-inch OLED panels right now.
Which means any brand that wants to play in that high margin space has to buy from them, period.
Okay, and that brings us to the third one, which I think might be the most important for mass adoption.
I agree. It's the world's first OLED with a 240 hertz RGB stripe pixel structure.
So this is a 27-inch 4K panel, 160 pixels per inch, and it's all about fixing that one age-old complaint about OLEDs.
Text fringing.
Text fringing, finally. But how did they manage to hit 720 hertz on one panel and then solve this massive clarity issue on another? It seems like it all goes back to the core tech.
It does. It all points back to what they're calling Primary RGB Tandem 2.0. That's the real engine powering all of these 2026 panels.
Okay, Tandem 2.0. Can you break that down for someone who maybe tracks the stock but isn't a display engineer? What does that actually achieve?
Sure. So think of it this way. In their older Wold stack, it was kind of like one lighting system trying to power all the colors. With Tandem 2.0, each of the primary colors, red, green, and blue, gets its own independent, dedicated emission layer.
Like giving each color its own dedicated engine room.
Exactly. And that dramatically improves everything. There's less stress on each layer, which means more efficiency.
And you can see it the numbers. Peak brightness up to 1500 nits, HDR True Black 500, and like 99.5% of the DIC color gamut. These are huge numbers for brightness.
And critically, this fourth-gen OLED structure, it runs with less heat and uses less energy to hit that higher brightness.
Yes, heat means
better longevity and much better burn-in mitigation. That's a huge deal for the professional and enterprise markets who are always worried about that.
Let's drill down on that text clarity solution, though, because this feels like the key to unlocking a whole new market.
It is.
Historically, high-end OLEDs were terrible for productivity because they used, what, RGWB with a white subpixel or those weird triangular pattern?
Right, the delta pattern, which is great for movies and games, but for fine lines or sharp text like in a spreadsheet or a coding window, it created that fuzzy color fringing effect.
That one issue is why so many high-earning programmers and designers stuck with their 4K LCDs.
And this new RGB stripe structure is the direct answer. It just arranges the subpixels in a straight linear line, the same way an LCD does.
So you get all the benefits of OLED, the perfect blacks, the response time, but with the text clarity of a traditional monitor.
And they did it at 240 hertz and 4K. That's the technical feat. It completely neutralizes the fuzziness and makes OLED a genuinely superior option now for anyone who stares at text all day.
And we've seen early proof of this, right? Prototypes were tested against current QD OLEDs and performed better, especially in bright reams.
That is a critical point. Some competing QD OLEDs have an issue with raised blacks in high ambient light where the darks start to look a little gray. Reviewers testing this new tandem prototype with games like Cyberpunk 2077 noted it had brighter colors, better HDR, and held on to detail in dark scenes way better. It can actually perform in a bright, modern office, not just a dark basement.
Now, LG's innovation isn't just in monitors. It's worth mentioning their other big achievement, just to show the depth of their R&D.
Oh yeah, the stretchable display.
This is straight science fiction. A 12-inch screen that can stretch to 18 inches, that's a 50% elongation, while keeping a 100 ppi resolution.
It's incredible. It uses micro LEDs on a special silicon substrate, and they say it's durable enough for over 10,000 stretches.
A screen that stretches 50% changes everything for product design. You're talking about automotive dashboards that curve seamlessly, wearables that actually fit and move with you. It shows they're thinking years, maybe decades ahead.
And the institutional recognition is there too. LG Electronics swept up a bunch of CES 2026 Innovation Awards. The 77-inch transparent OLED TTV won a Best of Innovation Award for the 4th year in a row for an LG OLED TV. So it's not just hype.
Okay, let's pivot to the investor context. When you look at LPL's strategy, it seems crystal clear. They are going all in on the high-end, high-margin monitor market. It's a premium pivot.
And they're already in a strong position. They make about 30% of the panels for the global OLED monitor market. This is all about accelerating that expansion, leveraging their tech lead across every major spec.
And you have to remember, LPL is a supplier. They sell panels to Sony, to ASUS, to their own LG brand.
Yeah.
So when they innovate, the whole ecosystem feels it.
And this is where the market reaction gets interesting. The stock market's reaction was surprisingly muted. LPL stock actually dipped about 1.17% on the day of the announcement.
Even while some peers were up. Why the cold shoulder for such big news?
It's a classic case of the market waiting for execution. It's the show me the money reaction. The tech is fantastic, but investors are waiting to see if it translates quickly into high-volume panel orders and real design wins that'll move the needle on revenue in 2026.
The technical win is in the bag. Now they need the financial win.
Exactly.
Which brings us to our This Is Not Financial Advices segment. We've got a high conviction, maybe slightly aggressive trade idea based on this tech shift.
And our thesis hinges almost entirely on that one product, the 27-inch 4K RGB stripe panel.
Right.
Like we said, the single product solves the one problem that kept an entire class of high-end professional users, programmers, designers, editors stuck on 4K LCDs.
It eliminates the last major barrier to OLED adoption in the professional world. That makes the entire premium 27-inch 4K LCD market structurally vulnerable.
So the pitch is a pair trade. You go long LPL, betting on their tech leadership and the coming wave of design wins. And at the same time, you short a basket of premium, high refresh rate LCD monitor manufacturers.
The logic is simple. That new 27-inch panel, with its 240 hertz refresh and perfect text, is going to trigger an immediate and irreversible upgrade cycle among high-earning pros.
Those users are going to jump ship from LCDs overnight, and that will absolutely collapse the average selling prices and market share of premium non-OLED monitors in that crucial 27-inch 4K segment. It's a calculated play on technological obsolescence.
So to wrap this deep dive up, LG Display's new tandem tech is bringing more brightness and longer life, while the RGB striped pixel structure finally brings real text clarity to high-refresh 4K OLEDs.
And that unlocks a massive, wealthy professional market that was completely off-limits to them before.
The key takeaway here is that LPL has executed flawlessly on the technology. Now we just have to watch how quickly that tech dominance translates into market dominance.
And I'll leave you with a final provocative thought to chew on. Since they're making such huge progress on OLED longevity and are clearly targeting the professional market, should they be pushing for a 16:10 aspect ratio now instead of 16:9?
That little bit of extra vertical space.
It's what coders and editors, the exact people they're targeting with the RGB stripe, have been asking for years. It might be the final piece of the puzzle to completely capture the enterprise market.